Hey you guys, it's Voluptuously Skinny and I am here with an update. It's been probably about 3 weeks, I think, since I have given you guys an update. As far as my weight is concerned, I've been going up and down between, I think the lowest I've been is 153 and the highest I think was 159. So just going in between those weights. And I still want to be between, my goal is 148 to 153, but who knows if I'll ever get there again. But anyway, things are going okay. My Dion went to an eating disorders clinic and he was in Atlanta for about 5 weeks, but his father, as usual, called to intervene in his medical care, which is crazy because he doesn't intervene in anything else. I don't talk a lot about my ex-husband, but yeah, he's a trip. Anyway, called, complained, talked crazy to the people. Dion ended up getting kicked out like a week later. I can't do anything but laugh about it because it's just crazy. But Dion did not, they immediately wanted me to come and get him, and I wasn't able to. I mean, it's a 12-hour drive and I wasn't going to pay $1,000 for a flight. So they ended up flying him home that following morning, and the transition did not go well because I was so upset and so angry because I had spoken with Dion and I told him, I said, this is a huge investment for me because it cost a lot. And I told him, I said, you need to be mindful of that. Make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do so that you can get the most from this. So needless to say, when he came home, I was pissed. And I was just thinking, no, you going over your daddy's house. You're not staying with me. So I picked him up from the airport and I dropped him off at his dad's house. His dad and I have joint custody, but basically I take care of everything. We have never practiced joint on anything at all. Well, his dad told him that he could not stay. Even though he told the people in Atlanta that he was going to come and get him and he was going to snatch him up out of the program and all of this stuff, his dad told him he couldn't stay. Told him that he couldn't come over and that he needed to call 911 and let them know that I abandoned him. So anyway, that's what Dion did. And ended up getting the police involved, getting Child Protective Services or Department of Human Services involved. And when I finally allowed them to call and allowed Dion to come home about 3 o'clock that morning, I told him I'm just frustrated. I'm a pretty doggone good mom. And when they found out we had joint custody, the police officer just was so apologetic. He said, I left you a harsh message and I apologize. I did not mean it. I didn't understand. I didn't know what was going on. And even when we had the follow-up with the DHS, the guy was just like, man, you've got it together here. I don't know why I'm here. So anyway, I ended up taking Dion to the Calm Center. But the Calm Center is a 7-day kind of fill in the gap between outpatient into inpatient or inpatient into outpatient. And we ended up going there, and it has to be voluntary, so Dion has to agree and has to want to go. And Dion went, and on yesterday he came home and we did a family therapy session before he came home, and that was the first time that I'd ever seen Dion like break, show some extreme emotions. And it really upset me because he basically said, I'm sitting here trying to hold on to people who aren't meaning me any good, and I'm pushing away the people that love me the most. And he mentioned me pushing me away, and then he also mentioned, you know, him trying to hold on to his father when his father really doesn't want anything to do with him. And that's what he said, and that's the way his father portrays it. So he was upset about that, and that made him cry. And Deon hasn't cried in a long time, and he's had some anger issues that a lot of people don't see because he seems so sweet, and he is such a sweet kid. But he's had some serious anger issues too, some outbursts that just needed to be addressed. So they were able to, in the 7 days, he was able to work on some of that. He was able to work on like several other different therapy things that they do. They talk about suicide prevention. They talk about sex education. They talk about grief. They talk about a lot of stuff. The other thing that Deon mentioned was that he never thought that he had anxiety or depression because he was diagnosed with anxiety and depression as well. And he started talking about, he said during the grief counseling or session, he started mentioning me and how I say, you know, one day I'm going to be gone. You guys really need to make sure that you're listening to me so that you can have your stuff together. And the counselor brought it to his attention and said, okay, so you are really, he just asked him a few questions, guiding questions, and Deon said, yeah, he said, I guess I do have anxiety. He said, I have anxiety that my mom will not make it one day. He said that when I went to Branson and I had that heart attack, he said that he was so basically distressed that something was going to happen to me, and then he was going to be there by himself. Nobody was going to be there with us, that he didn't know what to do. He didn't have anybody to talk to, anybody to turn to, because our family just isn't like that. Now, that particular time, two of my sisters, well, I'm gonna say one of them that is capacitated, like she can even help with anything, she showed up. But the other one that had the stroke, she showed up as well. But she can't help with anything. But anyway, they showed up, and I think they ended up spending the night with Deon, and then they left the following day. I think even before I got out of the hospital. So it's just not like we have a lot of family that we can depend on, and really not any in Tulsa at all. So that's just kind of where we are with that, and that's kind of where Deon is as far as what's going on with him and why he has some anger things going on. And oh my gosh, let me see. He's signed up again for therapy. We're not looking at the eating disorders therapy because we know that that is secondary to the anger and to the anxiety and depression. And so those are the things that we're going to go and we're going to address to see how to help him cope with those things. So that's where we are as far as Deon is concerned. As far as I'm concerned, I start school in another week, and I'm super excited about that. I am in the bridge program. The bridge program used to be where they took the first semester of medical school and they divided it up into a year to allow you to adjust. They have completely changed it this year, and so we are the first class to go through. The bridge year is now what they call a graduate certificate. So I have to go through not only the graduate school, but the medical school for everything. So I'm doing double duty for everything. transcripts that I'd already sent to the medical school. They couldn't share them with the graduate school, so I had to get new transcripts for the graduate school. Application, even though I'd already submitted an application to the medical school, they made me submit the application to the graduate school. I got acceptance letters from the medical school, and I got acceptance letters from the graduate school. I mean, everything is double duty. I had to take the medical school makes you take a drug test and physical and do all of that stuff, shots, and so I had to do all of that. So I'm just doing double duty. But they feel like this program, the way they're setting it up now, is that it will help with, ooh, that girl don't have on no clothes. That they feel like it'll help, I guess, you be more successful in your first year. So instead of splitting that first semester up, when you get ready to go, you just go full throttle straight on into the traditional track, which is perfectly fine with me. I didn't care what I did as long as I got in. So that's where I am now. So I'm taking anatomy this summer. We start in the summertime instead of starting in the fall, and then it'll be like a full load of graduate classes, graduate level classes, and then that following year I'll start the traditional track for medical school. And that's about it. I'm feeling pretty good. My binge eating is not totally under control, but I'm getting there. I do something called a heart check, and that is where take the letters apart, and it's either hurting or hungry. E is exhausted. A could be angry or anxiety. R could be resentment. And then T is like tense, being tense. And then I also use one called HALT, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of, HALT, and it's hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. And I changed my tired to thirsty. And so then I wrote down some goals, or not goals, but just coping mechanisms, coping skills, or things that I could do for each one of those emotions that I could do to rectify those, so that I'm not just turning to food. Does it work all the time? When Dion and I had that bad transition when he came home, oh man, I went straight to food. But it's okay. I'm better. I am getting there, and every day is a struggle. I had to write on my mirror just last night, no cookies, and no chocolate chip cookies in particular, especially from McDonald's, and no popcorn, except if I go to the movies, which I did go to the movies today, so I got popcorn. But I can't bring it in the house because I won't stop. I just won't stop eating it. So no trigger foods for me. I've also bought a sewing machine, and so Jackie has inspired me with her outfits and things. And I sewed when I was in high school, and then my aunts sewed. They used to make all kind of clothing and all kind of stuff, and so I've been practicing a little bit with that and playing with it. And today I did a clothing haul, and I'll show it to you guys, probably not today, but a little bit later. I got 2 pairs of pants and 1, 2, 3, I think 3 or 4 shirts for like $7. So then I got a pair of shoes for $15. But that's about it, y'all. But anyway, I wanted to give y'all an update because I know I haven't updated y'all, and it's just because we have gone through some transitions over the last 3 weeks. Some major transitions. And we're getting back into the groove of things, but it's still a work in progress. So anyway, I'm going to get off of here because I'm getting ready to go into dance class. Yeah, so that's one of my coping things, and that's one of the things as far as balance and treating myself that I'm trying to continue to do. So that's what I'll be doing. I'm going in here and get my boogie on. So anyway, I will talk to y'all later. Peace out, babies. Mwah.